is doing well this afternoon. I'm Laili from Las Vegas. I would be moderating this event, which is titled Parenting Teens, Be Friends with Your Teens. This program has been a little over a semester. We did it before Ramadan. And then we're continuing on with some flyers that was created by Chaplain Sakina, Alhamdulillah. And then we are going to start again this semester with diving a little bit into the one particular flyers, which is communication. So the title again for today, let's be friends with our teens. So inshallah, this event will be benefiting for all of you. And here with me, I have 3 panelists that is available for us. With that, I would like to invite everybody to renew the intention so that we can all learn together. I would always say that there's none of us that is an expert, but we're all an expert in keep on trying. And by trying, inshallah, Allah will give us His rida and His rahmah. And that would make our journey in this together a little easier. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilma warzuqni fahma. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. I would like to welcome everybody again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Pak Yusuf, thank you so much for your availability to join us this time. Also Anas and Chaplain Sakina. Just to kind of like get to know a little bit of all of you, because this mix of panelists is made purposely so that we can all learn from each other. So I have Pak Yusuf here. He's a manager in the automotive cyber security, and he is, alhamdulillah, have a couple of teenager at home. If I may know, where do you live right now?
Yeah, I live in Santa Clara, California. This is usually called as the Silicon Valley area, where these companies, Google, Facebook, and all these high-tech companies are headquartered.
Well, that's really cool. So what is your daily activity would be like?
My daily activities, usually during work days, I work in the office. I'm a manager. As a manager, I do 2 big roles in general. One is as a people manager, where I manage people, their like welfareness and wellness and anything related with people management with them. I have a team of 6 with me. And on the other side, I also as a technical leader for them. So I need to give guidance on technical things for what they need to do, and like guiding everybody to go into the same directions. During the weekends, I teach silat perisai pencak silat perisai diri. So I teach children and youth for pencak silat martial art.
Inshallah. So if I were to ask you if there is one person that you would be eating dinner with, who would that be?
I think just for the joke first, I would like to be with Laili's family and Mas Tommy, because my children really likes to hang around with your children and your cats. So yeah, we really love your Madura food as well. So yeah, but if it's about tokoh, but for people, I think one person that I don't know about this person, but I really would like maybe to know more about the person is his name is Mustafa Khattab. He is from Canada. He's the one who do the translations for Clear Quran. And this Clear Quran is the translations of Quran in plain English, which is very, very useful. Usually in Dawah Table or giving to non-Muslims, this Clear Quran is the one that is being given. So this is very useful. And also because I have my teenagers at home, I really want them to relate. For example, they go to Hifz school, they memorize the Quran, but many times the relations is not there, because memorizing is just memorization. So one thing that can help is how they understand what the script that they read and what it is all about. Because the classical ones are usually with all these weird language that not their daily language. But for this Clear Quran is very good. So I don't know this person, but yeah, I think it's good if I can have some more conversation about the person, what his experience.
MashaAllah. So my dua for you is that if you not able to meet with that person, may the understanding of the Quran penetrate the heart of your family and for the generation many to come. Inshallah, Ameen. All right, so my next panelist is Ahmad Anas Kasidi. We go by Anas. How are you doing, Anas? Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, so Anas, just about 4 months ago, he took on the very honorable job as the Imam of Masjid At-Tahir and also leading the youth program over there. So again, I would like to congratulate you. May Allah always get you and give you sakina in doing all that work. And so my next question for you is, obviously you live in LA area. So what is it that you do on daily basis? Like what is kegiatan hari-harinya?
Kegiatan hari-hari. So alhamdulillah, just realizing the immenseness of being in like a religious leadership position. There's lots of things that need to be worked in terms of progressing a community towards the idea of an ideal community. So for example, I would have to work out different programs that would fit towards the community and tailor towards different age groups. And that's still a work in progress day to day. On the monthly and annually, monthly I have 2 khutbahs to do every month.
Is it just me or Anna's connection is breaking
I
up?
think it's breaking right now.
Okay.
I cannot hear as well.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now. But you're
okay. Apologies. So on the monthly, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So on the monthly, apologies. So on the monthly, I do 2 khutbahs every month at the masjid. I also teach Saturdays, so weekend school, Islamic studies from 3 to 7. And at the end of the day, it's not just that's needed, right? And so I'd have to shout out to the different working pieces of the puzzle towards community. Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
MashaAllah. So I urges everybody who's listening right now to actually make that special dua for Anas. May Allah help you in all your mission, and that may you benefit the community over there, and that the community and you all together will be able to be the, to get the light of the Quran. Inshallah, Ameen. And so my last panelist, but not least, which is Chaplain Sakina Al-Habsi. Assalamualaikum, Chaplain Sakina, how are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. Good. So happy to be back with you all.
Thank you so much for your availability this afternoon. So where do you live right now?
I just moved across the country from California to Pennsylvania. So right now I'm in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania. It's near Allentown on the East Coast.
Oh, mashallah. So what is your daily activity like?
Well, Laili, I mean, if you asked me, Laili, a few months ago, I was like in and out of the hospital and in and out of school on the East Coast and the ICU and all that. And so over the summer, some of you may know that I got married and moved across the country. So I'm adjusting to new roles now. I am as a new wife and in a new location. I also have 3 stepsons, so the parenting teens theme is becoming very personal to me now as well, as I have 3 new stepsons in my family, extended family. And so my days over the summer have been mostly just adjusting to the new home. We have chickens, we have ducks. The garden is huge. My husband loves to cucuk tanam cabe, different kinds of cabe from Turkey. He's Turkish, so cabe from Turkey, cabe from Thailand, and tomatoes and everything. So if you all ever are in the East Coast and want to come by Pennsylvania, let me know. I haven't started back yet any formal chaplaincy positions. I'm doing more community work like this and getting to know the local community here and doing community chaplaincy online and with different groups while I sort of transition into something a bit more permanent after this. We'll see, inshallah.
So this is a kind of like a fun questions. If you use your finger, how many teenager you are dealing with right now in the age group of, I say 14 and above? If it passed your fingers, then just do this. So 1, 2, 3, how many teenager you are dealing with right now? Not just at home, but on daily basis.
Me, just there's the ones at home. I'm not really like, I mean, the rest are like different community folks here and there, not daily.
What about you, Yusuf?
So can you rephrase again the question?
Yeah, I wasn't clear. Sorry.
How
many teenager above 15 years old that you deal with? I mean, that you've dealt with, or that you have been dealing with?
Day to day?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be every day, maybe once a week, or just someone that, just in your life,
Okay, I think the first 2 children, one in college, one is high school. So my daughter and my son,
okay.
In those age, and also in weekends, I deal with youth and children. I mean, now the question is about youth for the martial art class. So totally, maybe I would say around 5 in total, roughly.
Okay, inshallah. What about you, Anas?
In the class that we had just yesterday, Saturday.
I think your connection is a little broken again, Anas. Is it just me, or can you hear him, Pak Yusuf?
Yeah, he's in and out.
11, I think. And then I meet people.
Unless your connection is it's a little not good. Can you hear us okay? Okay. Just to save the time, let's move on to the next activity in the agenda. I'm gonna give Sakina about 15 to 20 minutes to do a little presentations and maybe a little bit of like interactive presentation for the flyer number 3 that we give out to all the to everybody. But then don't worry if you don't have it, because Chaplain Sakina will also share with us something that we can all use together. So time and place is for you, Chaplain Sakina.
Okay, do I have the ability to share screen? Let me see. All right, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. I wanted to thank everyone who's been a part of the series from the first week. I think we started back in May, was it, or earlier? April, March, April, yeah. So it's been a few months, and then those who've come through and stayed with us through Ramadan, and you received the flyers. And then you've had interaction in the WhatsApp group, and there's been some questions back and forth. And I'm actually more curious to hear from you all. So I hope we get to that part of the program where we get to sort of see and directly interact with you. And if you've tried out some of these tips, if you found them useful, on what you've noticed that has changed maybe for your family over Ramadan, and from Ramadan till now, it's been a few months already, what you think has worked, what you think you want to try differently. And I would like to, maybe if you get the opportunity to do that, whether in the chat nanti bisa share ataupun verbally kemudian di penghujung rancangan. So I know there were some questions about the feeling wheel. We will show it a little bit later, but I just want to I think this was the flyer that had the most persoalan and pertanyaan, right, Mbak Laili? So I want to, first of all, just have us take a deep breath and recognize, inshallah, that our intention, ultimately, this whole series is about compassionate listening, compassionate communication, understanding our children and understanding ourselves juga, because we can't really do one without the other. And I don't want us to get too confused or too caught up, kaget, jadi kenapa ini wheel, there's so many words, I don't understand, gimana mau pakainya. That's not the purpose of this. That wasn't why I shared it. And if it's actually causing like a lot of confusion, I almost feel like I want to unshare it or like remove half the wheel, so it's like less, it's more clear how you use it. I don't want you to just like stress out about the wheel, okay? So the focus is gimana nak identify emotions, and how we want to lift up, like what are the important emotions that might surface daily dalam perbicaraan harian sama anak-anak, and identifying even our own emotions. About sometimes we are so focused about our children, and actually the best parenting tip is to be a better person ourselves, is to embody good communication ourselves. For us to communicate better with our husband, with our wives, with our parents on the phone. The kids are watching this, the kids are observing this, the energy level that we have dalam rumah kita kan, like in some households you enter, you can feel the peace, you can feel like tenang. Marah ada marah, of course, there's people who are marah, who are sedih, kaget, but the underlying emotion is like a bit more calm. And then in some households we come in and we feel like, oh my God, like I just feel like I have a headache just stepping into the house, and there's a lot of stress and tension all the time, even though nothing big is happening. So how we want to maintain sort of in general a household of that serenity, that household of open communication. I think probably the most important, all the flyers, I want to also emphasize different perspectives. Some of you may have benefited from flyer 1 more than flyer 3 and vice versa. But flyer 1, I just sort of want to quickly run through that before we talk a little bit more detail about the feelings wheel, the listening tips of concentrating on what your child is saying, what your teenager is saying, and to not like interrupt them when they're trying to explain something, walaupun it's something that you already know, you dah understand, you know how it goes, tapi let them explain it in their way. They might surprise you. Be curious, like repeating back what they're saying to you. You know, if they come back from school and they're sounding confused and they're saying many things, ataupun they're saying nothing. Kadang-kadang usually that's the problem, right? Especially with teens. How was your day? Fine. Okay, fine-nya gimana? Oh, fine. And then masuk ke kamar. They go in the bedroom and you don't know any more than that. How was your day? Okay. So fine and okay is probably the most common words from a teenager's response when you ask them anything. And that's something we can't run away from. Maybe some of these communication, just environment that we have in the home, inshallah, will enable them to open up a little bit more. And it's hard. And I was just in a parenting session myself yesterday. I'll share this resource with Mbak Laili. Nanti we can share with the group. Dr. Leonard Sax, Leonard, and his last name Sax. He's not a Muslim, but he's often invited by Muslim communities, Islamic schools also. And yesterday the program was also at an Islamic center. So, and he was sharing like a lot of parenting patterns and tips and communication, and also like respect of parents, how the culture in America has shifted a lot. And actually one of the books he wanted to write was like, you should raise your child outside of North America, because the culture here is making it. Yes, he's the author of Boys Adrift, somebody asked in the text, and The Collapse of Parenting, and a few other books. He's got some books on gender juga. So his views are, some of his views are quite aligned with like Islamic practices. I haven't read all his books, I'll be open about that. But I have like listened to some of his other sessions and read his material. So if you might want to look up Dr. Leonard Sachs. Okay, so let's go back to the wheel, which is what I've been asked to explain a little bit more. I'm gonna share the screen. So take a deep breath and don't try to read all the words on the wheel because you might get overwhelmed. And then we have also the Bahasa Indonesian version of the wheel kan ada provided in the slides. And if some of you don't have it, then I think you can email the organizer, or maybe we will put it up on the YouTube or the Facebook, the English version and the Bahasa Indonesia version of the wheel.
Yeah. You really,
so,
I'm not trying to cut you, but this,
yeah.
When you use this one, since the very first time you get the flyer out, it is overwhelming because, you know, there's just so many words in there. I mean, and then you said just focus on the first 6 right in the middle, but then what?
Yes. So the wheel works. Can you also see me, or do you just see the wheel? Do you see my face?
I can see you.
We
Okay.
see the wheels.
Okay.
You see the wheel only. Okay, I'm trying to use my hands, but if you don't see my hands,
maybe I can give us the feedback because we're in the Zoom. Because those who are getting the streaming
I'm not sure what the streaming people see then.
A different input.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out how to. No, don't do that. I couldn't figure out how you can see like a.
In Zoom, I can see you as well. And
a pointer or something. Anyway, that's okay. So the wheel, it functions dari luar ke dalam dan juga dari dalam keluar, from outside in and from inside out. So can you? Okay, sorry. Let's use a few examples to make it a little bit clear. Just 1 second. Another deep breath. For example, kalau somebody says, let's work with ourselves first. I think that's easier. We work with ourselves and then we understand it a little bit better before we try to use it on somebody else. I see a question in the chat. Okay.
See both screen shared and okay, that's good.
Okay, so katakan you see your child is sad or you're feeling sad. Kan sedih, tapi nggak tahu kenapa. When we know or we understand that there are reasons underneath the sadness could be caused by a few different things or a few different kinds of sadness. It's not just like one type of sadness. Semua yang sedih, semuanya sedih cara yang sama gitu kan. So in that wheel, the first layer from the center, you see sadness or you see sedih. And then that second layer, yang besar, a little bit bigger, you see suffering, another sadness. Let's just leave that. Disappointed, shame, neglect, despair. Kalau bahasa Indonesianya, derita, hiba, kecewa, malu, terpinggir, putus asa. And then in the outer wheel, you see words like hurt, depressed, displeased, regret, guilty, isolated, lonely, powerless. Kalau bahasa Indonesia, tersinggung, muram, sesal, rasa bersalah, sunyi, pilu. So when somebody just says like, oh, I'm feeling sad, and we feel sad, sometimes we should ask ourselves, what type of sadness am I feeling gitu? Ini sedihnya datang dari mana? Am I feeling guilty about something, or am I sad because I'm lonely? Am I sad because I'm feeling hurt, like somebody has hurt me, duka gitu kan, sakit hati gitu. So the deeper understanding we have from just feeling, I just feel sad, I don't know why. Okay, it's trying to get down to that slightly deeper level gitu of where that sadness is coming from, and then to be able to address it after that. That's level 2 lah. How do we come? Sometimes we can't fix the problem pun. It's not something we can fix, but at least we understand ourselves better, or we understand our children better. So if your child comes back from school, they look sad, and then you ask them, and you're just like, I'm feeling blah. Okay, so blah usually is sort of in that sad category. Kenapa? What happened at school? Nothing, everything's fine. Okay. So in our mind, maybe we start to kind of try to figure, okay, what is the sadness coming from? Like, where's there to, then we have to be curious, right? So back to flyer number 1, maybe to try and be a little bit curious to explore. Are you feeling, how's the new school? Are you feeling lonely? Do you have friends yet? Is it like that sadness that you're lonely gitu? Or did somebody do something to you? Are your friends not hanging out with you for some reason or something? So that exploration that you can have, that might be a little bit more targeted in that way. And if we're looking, for example, on the side of anger or fear, sometimes when a child or a teenager is angry, they don't even necessarily know why. I mean, there's a lot going on when you're a teenager, right? It could be hormonal changes. It could just be frustration. Sometimes the anger is coming from fear. So when we look at those words around that sort of fear section, the takut section, mungkin dia ragu-ragu about something, or you are feeling nervous. If you're feeling nervous, is the nervous coming from a fear of disappointing their parent? They're nervous that they didn't do well at school. They are worried about something. So try to dig deeper. Okay, what is it that you're worried about? Are you worried you're going to get a bad grade and you're going to not do well at school and you won't get the prize? Or are you worried about getting a bad grade and then Baba's going to get angry at you, Mama's going to get angry at you, and then that's the source of the worry, is a fear of your parents' anger? Or is the worry a fear of like not getting appreciated at school, not getting the prize, not getting the trophy or something? So sort of giving the words here and the wheel sort of giving you an idea that it's not just like satu jenis kan. Kalau worry-nya semestinya datang because of this or because of that. It could be many things to consider, but I also don't want to overwhelm you. So again, it's sort of like just giving you the opportunity to just amaze. Macam ya Allah made us with all these different emotions, and Allah made us with these like layers of emotions. Sometimes marah datangnya marah, tapi sebenarnya di sebalik marahnya ada sedih, ada sepi kan? Especially like maybe for the parents, like you have your parents di Indonesia, maybe they are not well or something like that, and you hear a news and you feel hopeless, helpless. So helpless tu kategorinya di bawah fear, kan? You feel like you cannot really do anything, and you're not able to be there for your parents. So there is a sense of like fear, am I being a good child, or fear, should I be going back? What if something happens to them? So that helplessness, the deeper core emotion, is actually usually related to fear. So Malaili, do you have any questions or clarification? Was this helpful? Do you have a specific example?
So I like this can also be used. I mean, well, it's not can be used, but this also is very helpful for, for the parents also to kind of assess where they're feeling at the same times, right? Like it's not just to identify what's going on with my teen, but also for, for my own psyche, my state of feeling.
Yeah. Because sometimes if I'm like, say if you're angry at your child, where is that anger coming from? Is that like disappointment, kecewa? Like, are you disappointing me? And actually my anger sebenarnya di sebaliknya is a feeling of disappointment gitu. Or maybe I'm angry, di luarnya angry, but actually malu, shame. Oh, because nanti the komunitas bilang gimana, oh anak Mbak Laili begini. So actually I'm angry outside, but it's hiding a shame. My child did this and the community knows my child did something. Actually, I'm ashamed, malu. So it helping you also to identify your own mess that's going on inside, even before you try to figure out what's going on with your child or your teenager. And somebody who is emotionally intelligent and is able to be, in general, more in control of their emotions and express their emotions better, and then be able to embody that kind of calm, compassionate, listening home environment. I know we also talked about the movie Inside Out, tapi kalau ada yang belum nonton lagi the movie Inside Out, I would really recommend it. It's a cartoon, so you can watch it with your kids, but it's much more beneficial also for the adults, not just for the kids. So watch Inside Out, and it talks about these emotions, and it takes that joy, fear, anger, sadness, disgust gitu. Each of them have a specific cartoon character in the child's head, and you see how the emotions think and how the emotions communicate di dalam kepala of the child gitu. And that is the movie. So you really understand, it sort of brings that wheel to life. So I highly recommend that movie Inside Out. It's from 2006. Jadi, yeah, no problem. You can find it anywhere for free, inshallah.
Yep. If I can, I would like to read just a little bit from that flyer, because I think it will be beneficial for all of us before we move on to the to few of the questions that I will be asking each and one of you. You wrote it over there. Not only it is helpful for us to understand what is going on inside of our children, it is helpful for us to know what is going on inside of ourselves. When we identify our feelings specifically, we are able to learn how to respond and take care of those emotions more accurately. And I think at the same time, learning by doing, when our children see the struggles that we're going through in managing our feeling and identifying them, they'll be more likely to be compassionate and at the same time wanting to be more receptive in doing that with us when we ask them questions. But then also there is a more profound quote that you put over there. There is a piece of flesh in the body that if it's becomes good. So there is a piece of flesh in the body that if it becomes good, the whole body becomes good. But if it gets spoiled, the whole body gets spoiled, and that is the heart. That is a quotation that you get from Bukhari. So, so let's move on to the next session that we've been preparing for all of you all who's been watching us on Facebook and YouTube. The next one that what I will be doing is asking several different questions to all of our three panelists. And then hopefully from their answer, we can all take benefit life lesson. So the first one that I would like to ask to is Pak Yusuf. According to you, as a father, masa remaja seorang anak itu masa yang bagaimana? So what masa remaja seorang anak itu masa yang bagaimana? Because you have two teenagers right now. Ada anak dari kita kecil, sekarang dia jadi makhluk yang lebih independen. Menurut Pak Yusuf, bagaimana?
Okay. In my opinion, the this I think about teen ages, right? Of 13 until all the way maybe until 19. So this remaja, from my opinion, it's a very challenging time for them and also for the parents as well. And the situation is because it is a transition between when they're a child and to becoming an adult. And in the reality right now, because of the food and a lot of maybe the things that we eat and many of our, for example, daily habits, which is not as good as maybe people hundreds of years ago. Now the people or the teenagers are from young, they already become baligh. They become baligh in very young age, while on the other side, because of the way that we educate our children, from their akal, from their mindset, from the way they think, they're not yet ready to take the responsibility as adults. That's my understanding. So on one side, the person is physiologically or physically becomes an adult, and on the other side, their mindset, their akal is not yet adult. Even in many situations, they're still like a child. Now, so there's a gap here, and this caused quite some challenge for both the child and the parents. Now, how we need to deal with this is usually we have to. I mean, in my opinion, we have to deal with them as a treating an adult, but still with supervision. On one side, we want them to grow. We want them to fill the gaps. We want them to catch the gaps between their physical adulthood and their thinking, their mindset adulthood. We want them to catch this one. And in catching this, we have to let them, or we have to help them in grow. And in grow, we need to we need to give them trust to grow, to improve. And in that situation, of course, one thing very important is to give them the chance to make mistakes. That's one thing. But on the other side, also, we need to have control. We need to have the supervision and control. Now, how we define the control, in my opinion, this relates with what is our vision and mission inside the family. What is our family's vision and mission? Like us as a husband and wife, what we want from our family? What's our goal? What's our mission with this family? That thing we need to define. We need to understand. So we know the baseline. What is our control baseline? What is our baseline of what we want from our family? What we want our family to be? What we want our children to be?
Yeah.
Now, plus on the other side is also what they want, what matters for them. So we need to come up into a middle ground, and this becomes what I think what the control will be. For example, if they're doing something that's out of this baseline, this control, so we have to step in and give them advice. For example, for example, if they go into, for example, going into the situation with their friends about drugs, for example, of course, that's already way out of our vision and mission as a family. So we need to step in and we need to bring them in again, right? I think that's my opinion about how challenging the situation for the teenagers or the young people right now, because it's a transition. I do believe that there's only two actually. There's a child and there is adult. But during this transition from in baligh between child into adult, there's a situation where their akal is not yet there and there's gap. So this is where the transition is happening, and this is what maybe in Indonesia we call it masa remaja, where in one side they're no longer child, they're adult, but if we want to treat them as adult, also they're not adult. and we still treat them as a child. So we need to be mindful on how we deal with this this time of our children.
Yeah, I've heard a word that's called adulting, and sometimes that word it's being used for later in college. I think it's more appropriate for us to use it as they become balik, because adulting is what they're doing. It's just a longer period of adulting. But from your explanation, I take it that it's hard on both sides, hard for the children, I mean, for the youth, and it's hard for the parents. So with that in mind, again, using the feeling charts that Sakina has shared with us, what a profound understanding if we know that it's not just hard for us, it's also hard for them. And then for us also to communicate that it's hard for me at this point, as I can see and understand that it's a hard period for you. So when we have that, I think, when we know both of us together that we all doing this together, I think that lessen the the feeling of this, like the control.
Yeah, I think always in tough situation, communications is the key.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, usually communications can happen only when there is a medium of communications. For example, in this case, there's a trust, or there is a chance for the parents to talk with the child, or the child to talk with the parents. Without this medium of communications, both sides cannot communicate. For example, if the child already upset with the parents, maybe the child will already shut the door of her communications, and it's not easy. But it takes time. Both sides needs to have efforts, and of course, we cannot really expect a lot from the other side. But from parent side, we have to start to give the beginning of, okay, we want to do the effort to build this trust, to build this communication channel, and then after that, if they see, maybe they will open a little bit, and then we can go from there. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be a one-day effort. It's maybe years, and it takes time, but it has to be started, and we have to build this communication. Without communication, I think it's hard to find the solution.
Yeah. May Allah help us all on that. May Allah always be with us. Okay, for the next questions, I will ask Anas. So there's this one. Banyak yang mengusulkan untuk menjadi teman dengan anak remaja. Saya aja bahasa Inggrisnya minim. Bagaimana mau belagak cool ngobrol sama anak saya? Kalau saya coba ngobrol atau tanya tentang sekolah, jawabannya pendek, lalu kabur ke kamarnya dan dia betah di sana. Apakah mereka masih butuh diajak ngobrol setelah masa semedi di kamarnya, atau ada ide-ide praktis topik yang bisa dibahas dengan anak-anak? Kapan sebaiknya mengajak ngobrol anak-anak? Saya rindu bisa ngobrol panjang lebar. So this is again like one of that, sticky, difficult situation, because I think if I see this, even the parents itself is having a hard time, with that situation. So I know you're not a father yet, but you're dealing a lot with youth. So,
Inshallah.
The topic is for you, Anas.
Alhamdulillah. I really appreciate the question, and I feel many of these questions are intertwined with the topic itself. I mean, how to be friends as like one of the main arcing solutions per se, right? To be a friend with your child. I had an incident where I was at a specific Muslim community, Muslim Indonesian community in the US. And I was speaking to one of the Bapak, one of the uncles. I was speaking to them in Indonesian, right? I was speaking to them in Indonesian, and we had a good chat, this and that, yada yada. And then so one of the kids, it was actually his son, where he came up to me. He's like my age-ish. And then he came up to me, like, because I already talked to him beforehand. We got to know each other. And his son, like, a friend, he told me, like, honest, I'm so I'm so jelly of you. Like, I'm so jealous of you. Like, I tell him, like, why? Like, because you could talk to my dad like that, and I can't, you know? And that was something that I realized that, you know, in terms of that immigrant experience, with all these different layers of being Muslim, being Indonesian, being Malay, being grown up here, finding where home is, so on and so forth, it's really a challenge, right? That was something what I found to where that, you know, and just like really stemming from like there's this model Islamic pedagogy of like, you know, 777. Has anyone heard of that one? Yeah. So 7 as in, you know, you play with them at 7 years, from 0 to 7, and then you teach them adibhum, right? You teach them adab, you teach them the ways, you teach them code of conduct, you teach them ethics, morality, and so forth, from 7 to plus 7, 14. And then from the 14, 7, 14 plus 7 is 20, right? That's pretty much the idea, is to raqibhum. So in the Arabic, to the English, it's to overwatch. Many say to befriend, sahibhum as well, right? So the idea is that, as well as how, you know, Pak Yusuf was saying, to really find that line where, you know, after I've done all of this in their teens and whatnot, to let them know, okay, you know, see me as this person, as a role model, that this is right, this is wrong, this is morality, and so forth. The challenge is to really have that, and to really recognize the other influences that are all around, right? Because if you're living in America, and there's a quote that I really love by Malcolm X, only a fool would let their enemy teach their kids. So the idea is that, you know, we have to realize where we are in the US, in the public school system, and the ideas of, you know, if you want to go further on, modernity, liberalism, secular, all of that, you know, and it's that versus what influence of Islamic culture or Islamic upbringing we have, which is, for example, at the house or at the masjid or whatever community you have, right? So that's a challenge. And as how Pak Yusuf brought up, the idea of even that medium of communication. Communication is key, but we need that step beforehand, which is trust, right? I have friends where they would share with me all of these different things about, you know, from movies, from like games to like just different issues, but then with their parents, it's just quiet, right? It's like, that's a big issue, the idea of trust that we have to establish. Because like even the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm just coming from my own experience, is that, you know, the Prophet, he didn't want to have Arabians that were insecure or distrustful with the Prophet, that were not safe with the Prophet. There was an idea of safety needed. Because like, you know, for example, when you go into a classroom, we want to set up, you know, guidelines on like a safe space of learning, right? Because if people aren't safe in the first place, then they're not willing to learn at all. You know? Yeah. That's a big thing where like, so like a question that I have that we can all explore is like, you know, do our children feel safe at home to be able to share what they have versus how they feel safe with other friends, right? And that's the challenge that we're trying to grapple with. So those are some thoughts that I have. And in terms of being a friend with your child, one thing that I would say is stories. Stories. What? Excuse me?
Qasasi.
Yeah, qasas, yeah. Qasas. Yeah. So like, you know, in the Quran we use stories. Like, you know, back in my day and this and that, when I was your age, like, and you know, the idea is to also not talk to them, but talk with them, right? To really talk with them, right? And so like those things of like, you know, these hits later there, to really connect in a way where, okay, you know where they're going through, and to make that space to where they can come to you before they come to other people, right? Because if they're not coming to you, then they're having another space to come towards, right? And so we have to create that space beforehand. And one of the ways is to really be open and really to, as was said, I want like establishing that family culture within that,
Yeah.
anything goes. So those are like some things that come into mind in terms of like really befriending your teen and onwards, inshallah.
Thank you so much. That's really cool answer. Coming in from an experience too. So the next question would be for Sakina. So this is a little heavy, but I think we can all learn a lot from it. Saya seorang ibu yang sudah bercerai hampir 10 tahun. Anak saya sudah di SMA tahun kedua. Anak saya selalu lebih dekat dengan saya, tapi belakangan ini dia lebih sering mau ke rumah bapaknya. Dia pakai alasan, Dad is alone and I want to be with him. But I'm alone too. Memang saya mengakui kalau saya sering ngomel sama anak saya, tapi itu karena sayang sama dia dan saya mau dia punya masa depan yang lebih baik dari saya. Kalau sama bapaknya, dia hanya didengarkan dan saya khawatir dengan pengaruh cara pikir bapaknya yang bukan seorang Muslim. Saya sedih dan selalu menyesal setelah ngomel-ngomel dengan anak saya. So I think she understand where the struggle is. Tapi saya nggak bisa kontrol emosi saya. Itulah bentukan saya yang keras. Tapi saya yakin dia mengerti maksudnya saya. Apakah saya perlu jasa konseling? Bagaimana caranya supaya anak saya mau bersama saya lebih banyak daripada bersama bapaknya? Chaplain Sakina.
Wow, Masya Allah.
It's but I can tell that there is a foundation over there though. There's a foundation of love between the mom and the daughter. You know, it's, that should be something that she built on, I think, at this point.
And so that I think there's a few parts to this question also. It's not really just like one direct angle. The age of the daughter is also sort of at that exploratory age, kan SMA tahun kedua gitu umurnya, sort of coming into teens-ish, and then maybe having her own exploration of growing up and wanting to canal her father a bit more. So I don't know, we don't know a lot of information. I mean, this is like case by case also, right? How long they've been divorced, what was the situation before this, how long were they married, anaknya joint custody, gimana, semuanya. There's too many uncertainties in this question. But I think I will just lift up a few points yang mungkin benefit secara generally to other people as well. I think in today's day and age, and even actually di zaman Rasulullah SAW, this issue of blended families, of divorce, of remarriage, of widows that got married to Sahaba Rasulullah SAW, there were a lot of blended families, right? There were a lot of stepfather, stepmother, anak dari ibu ini, anak dari ibu itu, polygamy. So this sort of sharing of children being raised in multiple households, children having multiple parents, two fathers, two mothers, different homes. This is something that's not new. It's not new to our community. Dari dulu dah ada. Tapi mungkin, I think as a community also, we are a little bit shy to talk about these things, to talk about divorce. Kayak masih kayak stigma gitu kan, kalau bercerai, kalau berpisah, or it's like whispering and stuff like that. Whereas in the time of Rasulullah SAW, one issue is that support for divorced people, divorced mothers, divorced fathers seem to be stronger, I think. There wasn't much aib with it as there is now. And the reality is that's happening more and more even these days with blended families and divorces. So I feel empathy for this mother who, I don't know if she's going through this alone and not able to share and get support from the community more, just for her own ability to parent as a single mom, maybe. And again, with blended families also, in this situation, she said the father bukan seorang Muslim, yeah. So I don't know, like, was he Muslim before, he's not Muslim now, atau gimana. And whether he's Muslim or not Muslim, he's still the father of this child, right? The father of this daughter, and still punya hak-hak sebagai seorang bapa. And in a divorced family, in a blended family, I'm in one right now, right? I got married. I have 3 stepsons. I have my husband's ex-wife, and the children are sometimes there, sometimes here, mostly with us. There are situations, it could be where both parents and both households are stable. In that situation, inshallah, maybe things are a little bit more smooth, emotionally stable, communication is there, trust is there. Yang honest bilang tadi, Pak Yusuf bilang tadi, communication ada. So the child going back and forth, bagaimana, what is the custody? There could be blended families di mana one parent is abusive or was abusive. Tapi mungkin kata udah insaf sekarang, masih still the mother, still the father, right? So, and they have some level of custody, and you're worried when you send your child to their other home, what is going to happen in that household? Are they going to be exposed to unlimited video games or alcohol, or adik-beradik yang lain agama and doing different things? Are there mental health issues? Some divorces happen because one partner has mental health issues, narcissistic or bipolar or depressed or whatever, and the anak still has to go to that household, right? Do you then say you can't go visit your father because he has these mental? We don't know, again. So these arrangements. So part of it is that you cannot control what happens in that other home. If the arrangement is there is shared custody and anaknya harus spend some time there, some time here, whatever is defined as some, you cannot control what's happening in that other home. What you can do is control what is happening in your own home and strengthen yourself and your iman and your peace and joy and ketenangan in this home, so that, as was mentioned before also by Honest Pak Yusuf, that this home, guaranteenya inshallah is the safe space. So whatever is happening over there, Rio or chaos or something wrong or whatever, they know that they always have one home, at least inshallah, that is safe and that you are working on. And hopefully that's both homes. This is not a competition, kan? Sering the divorce, it becomes like a competition. How much time are you spending there? Oh, I should buy more TV, then you spend more time here. Oh, but daddy has more fun. Oh, then we'll go on a road trip. We go to Disneyland. This is not a competition at the end of the day. Of course, secara insan, maybe we have some of those feelings of like, oh, I want him to enjoy his time here, not there. Maybe, yes, that's natural. But for kebaikan asli, for that child, what is best for that child, what is best for you as a mature, responsible, accountable parent, ultimately, I think you want both households to be good, stable households, and you want your child to have a good father and a good mother, a stable father and a stable mother. Even if they're divorced, that's fine, that happens. I'm sure most of us don't want our child to be suffering with the other parent and padan muka, revenge and anger. Well, maybe we do. And then we might want to look at the feelings wheel and figure out what's going on. Am I angry? Why am I still so angry about this divorce? And yes, counseling, the yang tanya soalan tanya about counseling, right? I would always recommend counseling, and whether you are counseling yourself or you go as a family, there are specialized counselors that specialize in divorce and blended families, and they counsel you together as a family, atau just you and your child, because you are going through transitions and changes. So yeah, the relationship between her and her ex-husband, or you and your ex-spouse, the co-parenting relationship, how can you still be mature adult about the situation, especially as your child gets older? Sometimes you are using the child to help solve your problem, because now that child is like 20 years old or 18 years old, that teenager is growing up. Both father and mother are using that teenager. That's not fair.
Yeah,
that's not fair. Kata Pak Yusuf, are you growing up? Orang tu is still that's not age appropriate for his umur or his role. That is between the parents. So I would advise the sister, inshallah, yes, if you can seek counseling, seek support for yourself, for you and your daughter. mengomel-ngomel tu ya mungkin kita dah biasa adat kita ngomel gitu. Okay, but what are the ways we want to improve ourselves? If you notice that something you want to reduce, then okay, inshallah, make dua that there is something that you're able to work on, how you want to communicate better with your daughter, and how you can still be a supportive, strong Muslim household. And even if a father is not Muslim anymore, she may still get very beneficial parenting from that father. Inshallah, he is a good person, a good human being, and as valuable as a father regardless. So yeah, I'll stop for there.
Yeah. Okay, so I still have a couple of more questions I would like to go through with all of these, and I'm seeing like some of the questions start being directing to me. So I would like to be able to go to those questions. The next one would be Yusuf. Sejak melewati pandemi, anak saya yang baru masuk SMA lebih sayang dengan teman-teman mayanya dibandingkan hangout dengan teman-teman sekolahnya. Waktu bermain seminggu bisa 3-4 kali dan sampai susah diajak sholat bersama. Dibandingkan hangout dengan teman-teman. Waktu bermain seminggu bisa 3-4 kali dan sampai susah diajak sholat bersama. Apakah sebenarnya dia merasa tidak sanggup atau malu memulai punya teman di sekolah? Karena really pandemi itu lumayan lama gitu kan, dan everybody somewhat move on gitu kan. Okay, time and place, Pak Yusuf.
Okay, so I think there are a lot of questions from my side towards this question, but I'm just now. Try to look into just the big picture. My understanding about this question is there are two parts. One is about this online friendships versus offline friendship, and the second one is about the kemauan untuk sholat bersama that's being affected.
Yeah.
So I would like to address this one by one. So I don't know much about the background, but I think just in general we need to understand the background why this new situation happens to our child. Why our child starts more activities online than offline. So maybe if we look into what the background is, for example, does our child just enter a new school, for example? Because in my situation, I kind of experienced almost the same thing, because my son goes from middle school into high school, and he also has need more time to adjust with his new friends. So we need to understand first what is exactly the situations, why what is it about that he's not engaging more in offline activities with his friends. And the second, maybe we would like to also look into who is exactly the friends online that he's dealing with. Are they actually just the same offline friends that now everybody jumps into online, and then it's just the same people, the same friends, it's just different medium now, and we have more convenience. For example, we don't have to travel. But the same like parents as well, when they go to work, usually they go to the work and then now work from home. Many people prefers to work from home instead of the travel time that they need to spend outside. We need to look to understand also who are these people. Are they just the same people, or it's totally random people or new people? So if the same people, maybe the same people that he usually hang around, they just move the place they hang around now from the park or from the mall. Now they move to
online.
The chat room online in Discord or whatever, in game online.
Atau teman-teman halakah ternyata.
Yeah, it's possible because they're far away, right? They meet in Muktamar, for example, and then now they want to hang on more, and then they meet online. Some people also, the friends from the school, that their best friend, this also happens to my son. And the parents move away outside during the pandemic because they buy house outside, and parents work from home. That also happens. So again, we need to understand who our children are dealing with in this online situation. If it's a totally random, maybe we need to ask more understanding or more question, because online is totally anonymous, and that's also not a totally safe situation.
Yep.
And also we need to understand, maybe it's just about the change, maybe temporary change. I don't know. The world keeps on changing right now. Maybe it's just temporary change because of the pandemic situation, where now people change from offline lifestyle into online lifestyle. Maybe our children finds a new fun or new activities online. Like, for example, before maybe he has only less time to play online game, but now, because I don't have to travel to meet my friend, I have more time to use for the game. And maybe that what we see, our child now is sitting in front of the game for so many hours. So maybe something new that they find, or maybe they forget how fun it is in offline activities. And if that's the situation, maybe we can help them to bring again that actually offline situation is also fun, and maybe we can build some situations that will help that to happen. I think that's for the first part. Now, for the second part about the habit for doing Salat together, and also in many other good habits that we want our children to have. In general, my understanding, there are at least two big things. One is the understanding, and the second one is about kebiasaan. These two, in my opinion, has to come all together. So understanding means if there's something good, for example, salat berjamaah, it's something good. So they need to have the understanding that salat berjamaah is something good for them, something that beneficial for them, something better from them than doing the other way. Now, this understanding really, really important. And the other one is kebiasaan, or also not only by making them accustomed to this, but also give example is part of it. So kebiasaan is also very important. Maybe the person or the child we just lecture them again and again, but we don't show it. We don't take them to do salat jamaah. That's also a problem, right? So these two things are very important for me to, in my opinion, to come together in order for the child to have this good habit. Now, if this change in the situation because of the pandemic and then the online friendship and this thing, maybe there is something change in their understanding. Maybe there is something change in their habits. We need to understand first. Now, the third one that might also affect the situation is external influence and also internal preference. So external influence, for example, maybe our child has other influence from external that cause them to not wanting to do the salat jamaah anymore together. I mean, maybe not that, bukan yang nggak mau, tapi mungkin agak delay gitu. Or maybe it's just the personal preference, something that I prefer more because it's more fun playing games than if I join the salat directly, because I don't want to leave them right now because we are in the middle of this war in game online, for example, or whatever. The game is not over. I need 15 more minutes to finish it. Now, I prefer to finish the game because if I go, it will affect the whole team. Then if I just go, maybe it's not dosa. If 15 more minutes, I can delay, something like that. So maybe there's an internal preference that he finds something more preferable than doing this. So we need to understand first all these backgrounds, and going back, if this is a habit or something that we think it's good for our children, going back again to our vision and mission as a family, as husband and wife and children in the family, something good, then we need to discuss and we need to find the solution. What is the root cause of the problem? And then how we can address this issue. Maybe change the schedule of the game, for example. Okay, you play this amount of time, and then you make sure that your game is already finished before the salat time together, so we can have this salat time together. Maybe. So it depends on the situation.
it sounds like there's also, I think you take time from the way you answer it. You take time to observe the entire situation first before just like, come on, salat now, you know, like it's, because maybe it's just a postpone of 5 minutes and the parents can do zikir, and then in 5 minutes the child will come down making wudu and the salat can happen together with, you know, without missing the 27 times more reward by being a jama'ah together.
It goes back, it depends on whatever the solution that we want to come up. It goes back, from my opinion, usually this, me and my wife in the family, we try to root back to our family vision and mission. If it's very important for us, for example, really sharp on time to do jama'ah, or even we have to leave, go to the masjid, maybe the solution needs to adapt with that. But if our value, for example, okay, it's good enough, we have jama'ah, maybe even delay 5 or 10 more minutes, that's fine also, if that's what we agreed upon, and then we adjust our solution together to adjust with what we want. So I think it depends on the situation.
All right. Okay, so next one is for Chaplain Sakinah. Keluarga kami sudah berjalan 20 tahun dan kami punya 3 anak. Nomor 1 hampir lulus SMA, nomor 2 wait a minute. I think the first one is just mulai kuliah, yang nomor 2-nya hampir lulus SMA, dan yang terakhirnya yang paling kecil SMP kelas 2. Saya dan suami bisa dibilang orang yang tenang dan tidak mudah marah, tapi kondisi dengan anak-anak sering membuat urat sabar kami jadi tipis. Kami berdua bekerja dan pegawai buruh, jadi tidak ada opportunity untuk kerja dari rumah. Masya Allah. Rasanya untuk punya momen bersama anak-anak itu susah sekali. Kadang sholat berjamaah di rumah sudah jarang, apalagi makan malam bersama. Again, I'm seeing it like there was a good foundation prior to this. Jadwal kegiatan sekolah mereka sangat beragam. Apakah ada usulan kegiatan supaya ada yang baik untuk, apakah ada kegiatan yang baik untuk keluarga kami bersama? Saya hampir putus asa karena mau buat acara bersama seperti makan malam saja butuh reservasi waktu 3 minggu ke depan. This is my struggle actually. But mashallah, there is a good foundation somewhat in that question. You know what I mean? Because the question it's pretty interesting. But Chaplain Sakinah, go ahead.
Yeah. I actually appreciate jawaban Pak Yusuf tadi juga. I think he answered half of the question already, even for me. Pak Yusuf bilang, what is the understanding, pemahaman, and what is the habit, kebiasaan gitu of that family kan? And he also mentioned the vision and mission, and that's really quite aligned. I think my response to a question like this also. So this family specifically, ada mentioned sedikit background, dah 20 years together, anaknya umur berapa gitu, and it sounds like they had maybe an easier time before to have dinner and all that when kids were younger, and then as the kids go older, they have different activities. With other families, mungkin, again, my approach is like, I want to answer this question, but I also want to generalize a little bit more useful in general. So maybe for another family, kita nggak tahu also a habit of the family's habit, like Pak Yusuf said, right? Some families mungkin sudah selama-lamanya solat jemaah for the last 20 years, dari nikah, they pray jemaah together, husband and wife, and then they have 1 child, 2 child, 3 child, jadi memang kebiasaannya the families solat jemaah. Some families, they ask questions like this because they are themselves, ibu orang tuanya themselves going through like a change in their spirituality kan. Mungkin sebelumnya nggak begitu sholat, sekarang oh ya udah sholat jemaah. So they are themselves having some changes as parents. Tapi anak-anaknya sekarang feeling like, oh, my parents selama ni nggak pernah solat, now you want to solat, now suddenly I'm 13 years old, you want me to change just like you overnight, but you are 45 years old and you had time to change, kan? Jadi there's different levels of what might be going on in this household. Tapi I think one of the important things always, which is difficult, I know, is really like to sit that family down and decide what is important as a family, and what are the priorities of that family, and to really ask Allah for help. Macam situation family ni yang mungkin setengah family gitu, memang kerjanya buruh, bapaknya punya 2 jobs, 3 jobs, ibunya 2 jobs, pagi, sore, and so it's not easy to just say, well, sort out your priorities and make sure everybody is home and have Maghrib together and then dinner before Maghrib and just do it. For some families, physically, maybe they have the time and resources. Some families, that's a lot more difficult, like you were saying. But ini anak-anaknya, time is not gonna increase now. This is the only opportunity you have to have those kids at home. Whether you like it or not, most likely after 18, 19, 20, most of the time they're gonna be away or out. So again, what is your vision of life? What is your mission and priorities in life? And to keep asking Allah to be clear with what you want as the vision. To be clear with what you want as a vision of life for yourself, for you and your spouse, and then also to include the children in that. And sometimes bunyinya kayak, oh yeah, we can't have conversations like this lah. Ini style, not our family style.
Right.
But then what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do then? Just biarin aja gitu. Then it's never really ever really gonna change, right? And those conversations might have to start with the orang tua themselves. Maybe minta maaf. You know, like, I'm sorry, like, I wish we had led this family differently. I wish we could rewind 5 years and change some of the priorities that we have. And I want to do this now. And Mama and Baba, you know, Ibu Bapa are on the same page. And we really want to do this now before we lose like all of you and before you lose us. Orang tua juga makin tua kan? So they need to maybe also see some of that humility of you as the orang tua yang maybe you yourself, you are regretful kan, kalau maybe yang tanya soalan ini atau kita juga yang rasa sesal. I wish I had done something a little bit more different. I wish I had been a little bit more strict with certain family rules, and out of love, not out of anger, not out of just for fun, I want to make things difficult for my children. Tapi they are our responsibilities for a reason, and we are the parent for a reason, and there are certain things that are age appropriate for them. So at that age, for this time, we are still shaping their identity, we are still shaping the foundation. And this is not just emotions, this is also research based. So I'm going to share in the chat also an article that was done, a research on like a few thousand families, kalau nggak silap, where they monitored family non-Muslim di Canada gitu, maybe campur, mungkin ada Muslim nggak tahu, but the issue is like family dinners, families having dinner together 1 night a week, 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week, 4 nights sampai 7 nights a week gitu. Apa korelasinya dengan mental health, dengan communication of the teenagers. So this is like exactly the perfect thing what we're discussing. And of course the data shows what we know: families that eat together, families that pray together, families that play together are generally more stable, more balanced, more happy, less issues at school, less acting out issues, emotional issues in general. Of course, you know, wallahu alam, there will always be exceptions, tapi the data even shows it, like that's a true thing in general. And one tip, like she said specifically, mungkin one tip is like, try to do fun things also. Like try to, okay, again, the dinner time, 1 meal a day if possible. Make it fun. If you have to schedule it 3 weeks ke depan, yeah, 3 weeks ke depan, yeah, book aja 3 weeks ke depan, every 3 kali seminggu or whatever, then make it. Then at least 3 weeks in advance, you're making that time. For the makan, for solah, I would say depends what your standard is. But Pak Yusuf pun bilang tadi, kalau for some families memang kebiasaannya atau perjanjiannya setiap waktu harus jemaah, atau mungkin for some family baru start, okay, one waktu a day jemaah. Okay, whatever is your goal, try to just make one goal as a family and try to do one goal a little bit by bit. And then also do something fun. So the kids also see that this family thing is not just salat, makan. It can also be something that they feel is fun. So one family thing is something that they want to do that's fun for them. It's not fun for you, nggak apa-apa, you just follow. So they also know that we are trying as a family to stay closer together, at least for whatever time we have, for everybody grows up and is gone.
Mashallah.
So I've put the research in the chat also kalau any yang mau baca artikelnya gitu.
Yeah, we will share it to the group so that everybody can benefit from it if they're not attending our session right now. So I have one more question for Anas, actually. It's hang on. Get to it. Okay, here we go. From your experience, Anas, apa yang bisa bikin anak-anak remaja bisa punya pemikiran bahwa ayah ibuku adalah orang tua yang cool? Or it's just a dream of parents?
So I'd kind of rework the question for the goal of being cool, because sometimes we want to really aim for relevance, or you want to be connected. I feel like it's about being real. So we know, this person is genuine. This person who is my father, who is my mother, is authentic. I feel that speaks volumes beyond knowing every single pop culture meme and so on and so forth, right? There's something very specific and very special about when you see someone and you know that they're that person where I can seek wisdom from, or I can trust them, right? And so that's kind of like the idea of like bettering ourselves, ihsan, towards again, the idea of having a safe space. The Arabic for house, some say maskan. Maskan itself, I know Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, he says that maskan, it's the word where it stems from, also the word of Chaplain Sakina's name, Sakina, right? Because if you have a house without Sakina, mawadda and rahma, that's not a house in the first place, right? And so the idea again goes back to the safe place, to the safe person, to the one that you can find within. But I think that was kind of like hoping towards that question, if I diverted it back towards more being genuine, being real, that because like people again, like the very cliche thing, real recognize real, where if I'm trying to be cool, like, hey guys, yeah, this and that, it gets kind of cringy and this and that, but and kids can see through it. You and I feel like that's a big issue, where we think that, my kid, they don't know anything, they're dumb, which unfortunately is a stereotypical thing, which shouldn't be the case. We should place them towards where they're capable of, with their capabilities, right? And so to really imbibe genuinity, right? The idea that realness is here, because Islam, at the end of the day, being Muslim is real as well, right? As real as it can get. And you can spot someone who's fake and so on and so forth, right? And so this thing we're doing is real, right? And if they don't see it as real, then we need to let them know that everything else around us, unfortunately, has some fakeness to it, one way or another. Those are my thoughts about that.
MashaAllah. Thank you, Anas. All right, since we have a little more time, there is a couple of questions that I think I want to throw it out there, and I want to see, out of three of you, who would like to answer this? So the first one is that my teenager daughter often shares stories at her school with me. In some of her stories, I noticed that, actually, I like this one for Anas then. My teenager daughter often shares stories at her school with me. In some of her stories, I noticed that there were things to fix Islamic-wise, especially from her non-Muslim friends, of course. I honestly said that I think needs to be fixed. I tried not to pound hard on those things that should be in the right way. I mean, I want her to keep sharing it with, to share with me about what happened at school without just letting go when something is not right, while at the same time, she keeps being open to me. So how do we balance that? So honest.
I feel like one way to actually kind of like tackle these issues that, and one thing that I can really relate to is what Dr. Sherman Jackson, he says, it's the gotcha Islam. So anytime I see something wrong, gotcha, that's the only time I can speak Islam with someone, right? It's only time for correcting, right? Islam is the only time for correcting. It's connection before correction, right? The idea is that we need to connect before you can actually just tackle that, right? Because if the only thing about Islam is us correcting them, then they're always wrong. From the outset, it's like, I'm always wrong. Something's gonna bound to happen, right? And so I feel like to start it off is to really have, again, going back to that safe space that, okay, alhamdulillah, we already have this, where, we're speaking to each other about these different things. And so we can question, starting from the framework of where she's coming from. Like, oh, what do you think about this? Because at the end of the day, discussion-based is how, US universities and colleges work through, right? It's not about correction, you're wrong. At the end of the day, we have to work towards how is it wrong? How did we even get here? How did it become normalized within society and so on and so forth. So I feel like to really start with the framework of how we get to know something is right and something is wrong is really important versus just the quick correction.
Yeah.
Hopefully that kind of helps.
Yeah, because I think that's a deeper assessment of the understand. It's an opportunity actually to assess that, the child understanding of what has been taught, right, at home. So one more question because we still have time here. Suami saya memiliki remaja 16 tahun. Pekerjaan suami saya menuntutnya untuk di rumah hanya weekend. Kalau ayahnya di rumah, anak remaja saya selalu patuh dengan apa yang dikatakan ayahnya. Termasuk sholat berjamaah tanpa struggling. Tetapi ketika ayahnya bekerja dan saya di rumah, all the time anak saya kurang mendengar apa yang saya katakan. Padahal saya sudah ingatkan bahwa apa yang dikatakan oleh saya dan ayahnya seharusnya didengar sama saja. Bagaimana sebenarnya peran orang tua? Apakah memang ada perbedaan dan bagaimana sebaiknya saya bersikap dengan anak? I think I'll put this to
Pak Yusuf.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, I just want to say,
because you're
Sakinah to answer this.
Because you are, I think father is the CEO and mom is the prime ministers at home. So when the prime minister doesn't get the respect, then what the CEO do?
Well, it depends. It really depends also, right? Like in my household, it was both or the other way around. I think I was more scared of my mother than my father. So
But in this case, it's quite interesting. So Pak Yusuf, go ahead.
Come on, I thought the sister Sakinah will answer this one.
We'll chip in. I wanted to chip in the one that just got also Nadeem.
All right. Yeah. Again, it depends. It's case by case, and in this situation, maybe we need to understand what the background is. Maybe there's a disconnect between the father and the mother's like vision and mission. I always go back to this because the family needs to agree upon what they agree, and then that will reflect, because the kids can see, as Brother Anna said, that they see the genuinity. And if they see that the father, maybe they see the father is more a disciplined kind of person, and then the mother is more loving kind of person, and now she can slack a little bit with the mother, well, maybe not with the father. There's also a possibility. But I mean, it can be seen as maybe some positive or negative, but in the positive way, when this situation, maybe in other situation where the child needs to have somebody who can understand her, who can kind of like relate with her, love her more, understand the problem, they will go with the mother. Maybe in this situation, because it looks like the child is more relaxed with the mother than when the father is around. Maybe there is a background why that happens. So I think, from my just my perspective, that we need to see the situation in more comprehensive way, not only particularly this problem, but how the family overall engage. I would say that maybe this is not something negative, but it's actually it's an opportunity on the other side, more on the side where the need of somebody whom the child can be relaxed with, that where the mother will be beneficial, compared to where the father, where the child will be like, okay, I'll do just whatever you want, but I might not open all my secret with you, or my problem with you.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Sister Saki.
No, I appreciate that response also, like leverage on your, like the parents have a relationship with the children together, the whole, when both are there, the dynamic is different. And then just the father and the children, dynamicnya lain lagi. Just the mother and the children, dynamicnya lain lagi. And we have different roles, different strengths, different things that we are bringing to that relationship. So it could be like Pak Iso was saying also, is she comparing just apple to apple? Yeah, exactly. They are not afraid of me like they're afraid of the other, but her strength is something else. Or I mean, are they not doing even the basic things at all? Like when dad's not around, no salat, no homework, nothing. Is it like that drastic? And then in that case, there's probably a deeper issue at hand also, beyond just like, oh, they're less disciplined when he's around, or more disciplined when he's around. So kind of leverage on your personal relationship as well, and then your relationship when both of you are together. And then they're also observing, I think, the dynamic between us as parents, right? So sometimes do they see the respect between the parents? Do they see that the father respects the mother's opinions and views and upholds whatever she says in the household, and vice versa? Kita nggak bisa assume all households have that kind of relationship. In some households, maybe not. Maybe the mother doesn't respect the father, and then the kids see that, and then they absorb that energy juga gitu. And then vice versa, bapaknya nggak respect ibunya and puts down her opinions, or like when ibu asks something, he's a priority. So that also, I think, could be something to look at. I don't know, so we don't know the background in detail, but that might be something to observe, what's going on with your relationship. Are you guys respecting each other as husband and wife, and that translate to the children also respecting you equally? And I wanted to also say, I think the question that Honest got about the kids, the mother and the daughter, like it's great self-awareness of the mother in her question to notice that herself, like aku ini punya desire to just like and like fix everything, and haram police and whatever, Kacha Islam and all that, gotcha Islam. So she's aware of that. So that's half the struggle usually, to be aware of your immediate reaction, mau marah atau mau response atau mau kritik. You are aware of it, you can stop, you can take a deep breath, and then you can kind of decide, okay, what do I want to do? Is this something I want to correct? Is this something I want to ask? Is this something I want to be curious about? Is this something I want to just shut my mouth and listen dulu gimana. So that's half of the battle. So I'm proud of this, whoever's asking this question, your self-awareness, keep listening to that voice and catch yourself. Kalau punya begitu rasa mau react, hold on, just hold on. We are the parents here. We cannot just keep firefighting and reacting whatever our child brings home. Receive it first, process it, respond as we can. We're not like just reacting to them immediately like that all the time. I know it's not easy. I know it's going to happen still, but that's why we're here, to remind each other, to support each other, because it's one of the most difficult things in life, parenting.
Okay. I just want to add, maybe also the dad can step in if the dad knows the problem, the one that the child doesn't follow the mom. Maybe the dad should talk to the child as well and step in and, hey, maybe you need to listen to your mom more, things like that. Just some small addition.
Yeah, on a practical things to do in a loving way. Yeah, mashallah. Boy, it's 5:40 right now without us realizing it. And I truly hope that this session is benefiting everybody, beneficial for everybody, inshallah. We are coming to an end of our session. If anybody for those who are taking the class in the Zoom and also in the group chat, if you still have any questions that you would like to ask, feel free to direct it to me or Mbak Ainu or Mbak Erni, and then we will collect it. We will try to keep it very private, so that we can I think a panel like this and an event like this, it's really good. It brings a normalcy to the struggle during that time from both of the parents and the child itself, without with still upholding our mission as a Muslim family, knowing that another Muslim family is struggling just like me. It makes it bearable for me to go through what I'm going through. Hopefully that would be the take on. Alhamdulillah, because at the end of it all, our children's are our investment, but we're so also investment of our parents. And so it's it really is will put us in a positions where if we cannot just honing on to fix our children, we're fixing ourselves so that we can be the investments of our of our parents also. So because of the timing, I would like to request Anas to close the session with the dua, if you're okay.
Yeah, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. So we can end with dua. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah al-Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. All praises due to Allah, the most gracious and most merciful. We ask Allah to send His blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask Allah so that all that we've gained within this session will be a means for us towards you, Ya Allah, to Jannah al-Firdaus al-A'la, towards our families along that path. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us, to make us, and to allow us to become people of wisdom, to become people of sincerity, to become people of truth, and to become people of thankfulness and gratitude. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow our homes to become masakin, places that are filled with sakina, mawadda wa rahmah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be of those that are within the prophetic tradition, of those that are best to their families, are the best of those, and the Prophet ﷺ was the best of those. We ask Allah so that we are following in the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad. We ask Allah to always imbibe love within us, within our families, within our communities, within our siblings, within our parents, within our children. We ask Allah to imbibe love between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and between the Prophet Muhammad. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our parents, to forgive our grandparents, and to forgive our communities, and to accept them as Alameen, and to accept from this gathering of Alameen. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chaplain Sakina, Anas, Kasidi, Pak Yusuf, for your time and your energy. And I also would like to say thank you very much for those who are joining us from Zoom and also from Facebook and YouTube. May Allah grant the blessing of this time, that we can have the tawfiq and hidayah to better ourselves and be the investment of our parents, and then also be the good parents to our children, and may our children, the children, zuriyati, be, stay guided all the way through. I mean, ya Rabbal Alamin. Again, thank you so much. I would like to close the session.